Despite the challenges and delays in the trade negotiations between Australia and the EU, both sides have expressed their optimism and commitment to reach a deal by the first half of a free trade agreement between the two partners could benefit both sides by increasing market access and diversifying trade partners, especially in light of China's trade restrictions on Australia. Australia is seeking better access to the EU market for its agricultural products, such as beef, lamb, rice, sugar and dairy. The EU is one of Australia's largest trading partners, accounting for about 15% of its total trade in goods and services, and however, Australia faces high tariffs and quotas on many of its exports to the EU, which limit its competitiveness and potential growth. For example, Australian beef exporters pay a 12.8% tariff plus a fixed amount per kilogram on their shipments to the EU, while lamb exporters face a tariff of up to 50%. The EU, on the other hand, is seeking to protect its geographical indications, GIs, which are names that identify products that have a specific origin and quality, such as Parmesan or feta cheese. The EU argues that GIs are valuable assets that promote rural development and cultural diversity, and that they should be respected by trading partners. The EU has already secured the recognition of more than 200 GIs in its trade deals with Canada, Japan, and South Korea. However, Australia has resisted the EU's demands on GIs, claiming that they would harm its domestic producers who have been using these names for decades, often with European heritage. A trade deal between Australia and the EU could benefit both sides by increasing market access and diversifying trade partners, especially in light of China's trade restrictions on Australia. China is Australia's largest trading partner, accounting for about 40% of its total trade in goods and services, and however, since 2019, China has imposed tariffs, bans, and other barriers on various Australian exports, such as barley, wine, beef, coal, and lobster, amid political tensions between the two countries. This has caused significant losses for Australian producers and exporters, who have been looking for alternative markets to sell their products. The EU could be one of those alternative markets for Australia, as it has a large and affluent population of about 450 million consumers. A trade deal with the EU could also help Australia diversify its economy and reduce its reliance on commodities, which make up about 2/3 of its exports. The EU is a global leader in innovation and technology, and a trade deal could enhance cooperation and investment in areas such as renewable energy, digital services, healthcare, and education. Similarly, the EU could benefit from a trade deal with Australia by gaining access to a dynamic and stable economy that shares its values and interests. Australia is a member of the G20 and a key partner for the EU in the Indo-Pacific region. A trade deal with Australia could strengthen the EU's strategic presence and influence in Asia-Pacific, where it faces growing competition from China and other powers. A trade deal with Australia could also boost the EU's exports of manufactured goods, such as cars, machinery, and pharmaceuticals, which are subject to low or zero tariffs in Australia. In conclusion, a trade deal between Australia and the EU could benefit both sides by increasing market access and diversifying trade partners, especially in light of China's trade restrictions on Australia. However, reaching a deal will require compromises and concessions on both sides on sensitive issues such as agriculture and geographical indications. Both sides have expressed their willingness to work towards a mutually beneficial outcome that reflects their shared values and interests.